Are you going to the Singapore Grand Prix for the first time? Are you looking for any helpful information or tips and tricks on how to navigate the Singapore Grand Prix from someone who's actually done it before? Hi, my name is Lauren. I have been to 4 Grand Prix so far, 3 in Australia, 1 in Singapore, and I will be at the Singapore Grand Prix later this year. By no means am I an expert on actually going to a Grand Prix, however, these are just some of the things that have actually helped me as someone who's actually been to a Grand Prix before. So in this episode, we're going to actually talk about how to use the MRT to your advantage during the Singapore Grand Prix. And whilst walking in some cases might be actually a little bit quicker during the Singapore Grand Prix, generally you'll end up just being an absolute sweaty mess by doing this. So this is why using the MRT can actually be really helpful. First off, just like I said, it can get really sweaty during the weekend, especially with the high humidity and high temperatures in Singapore. So using the air conditioning can actually be to your advantage, especially at the MRT stations and also on the trains as well. The one good thing about using the air conditioning at the MRT stations is you don't need to actually pay to do that. You can just stand around for a moment or two, maybe use the bathroom, maybe actually go to a convenience store and grab some more water. But the great thing is that will be all in air conditioning, and it'll give you an opportunity to at least have some sort of relief from the heat. The other great thing about MRT stations is a lot of them actually have convenience stores in their stations. And this is great because you can actually pick up things other than just water. So if you by any chance may need, say, a hydration kind of fluid such as Picari Sweat, for example, which is Asian Gatorade, or you might need something else of that similar nature, you can actually purchase that at the convenience store and use that to your advantage to actually try and have some relief. And particularly if you've come from, say, a stage to see a music act, or even see the Formula One drivers, or even actually you're in between Formula One sessions, this here is great because then it means that you can go and grab yourself a quick drink, grab yourself maybe even something to eat there, but you're still using air conditioning by doing that. The other thing you can use the MRT for to your advantage is actually getting around the track. And I used that quite a lot during the Grand Prix weekend last year, where I actually had moved up from zone 1 to zone 4 to actually go and maybe see a concert, or I actually wanted to see change positions from actually being where I was in zone 1 initially up to zone 4, so I can see different aspects of the track. And using the MRT is actually a lot quicker because you're not having to wait in queues whilst actually getting up and down stairs on the overhead crossways over the road. And also if you've got a mobility issue or you're on something that actually helps you assist with your mobility at the moment, this here is actually a really great way to actually get around because you're not having to use stairs or anything like that to get around between different parts of the track. But I think this is actually quite important. Remember that after the day's events have actually been completed, it will get busy at MRT stations. So if you are planning on using this to actually, say, get from zone 1 to zone 4 to go see a concert at the Padang stage, you may end up being there a little bit later than what you'd actually have seen earlier during the weekend. So plan accordingly, and also patience is key here as well. If you are in between the track sessions at the Grand Prix and you're feeling really overwhelmed, which I did at Singapore Grand Prix last year, plus also was struggling a little bit with heat stroke, using the MRT station is a great opportunity for you to actually sort of just switch off for a little bit. You can call it sort of like a sensory room in some ways, but it gives you an opportunity to get away from the sights, smells and anything else that might be actually overstimulating you at the time, just for a few moments. The other great thing about MRT stations is they actually have toilets in them as well. So if you are needing to use the bathroom, the ones in the MRT stations are regularly cleaned, and also you're in air conditioning, as I've said before, but also they're actually really easy to find as well. So that's a great option, particularly if you need to use the bathroom, that the MRT station actually has bathrooms as well. Like I said previously about the heat and humidity in Singapore, the thing is that at the circuit park there is a lot of walking involved. There's even actually a lot of walking even from gate 1 to the pit grandstand. So if you have mobility issues, if you have health problems, or you're not used to humidity and you're planning on actually seeing a different vantage point, for example, or you're looking at maybe going to the Padang after the track action is finished, I would use the MRT over actually walking, just because of all those reasons I've already mentioned before, such as the air conditioning, the opportunity to go buy more water, a place to go relieve yourself, and a place also to actually try and beat the heat and maybe try and cool off a little bit. And also the other most important important thing. There is a lot less walking involved from moving around to different areas of the circuit park rather than actually moving from one area of the circuit park to the other via foot. But finally, also I wanted to actually mention the other great thing about actually using the to your advantage. If you are hungry and you're planning on actually maybe looking for somewhere to go eat, many of the MRT stations around the circuit park are either attached to a shopping centre or are very close to a shopping centre, and these shopping centres do actually have food courts. So you'll end up finding plenty of options to go actually have something to eat whilst you're actually closer to circuit park, but also closer to the MRT as well. So I hope these tips are actually really helpful about how to use the MRT to your advantage during the Singapore Grand Prix weekend. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and stay stress-free during the Grand Prix weekend. Peace out, guys.